I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my YouTube channel and the website Global Math Institute. In this video, we are taking test question. We need to find the quadratic equation from the given roots. So we have two similar kind of questions which are very popular in test papers. The very first one is, write quadratic function with roots 1 over 3 and minus 2 over 5. And the second one is, write defining equation for parabola with roots 1 over 3 and minus 2 over 5 containing the point 0, 1. So we need to understand how this word defining equation changes the whole scenario. So the very first one is basically finding a general equation, right? So that is, we say, family of curves. So we are interested in family of curves for which the roots are 1 by 3 and minus 2 by 5. You get the idea. Roots also I've taken rational because many times students face difficulty when they get this kind of numbers. And the second one is a specific equation which passes through a particular point, which is given here as 0, 1, which happens to be the y-intercept. Correct? So if you try to visualize this, it really means that we have a parabola which has got these two roots and a y-intercept is above. So I can actually sketch the parabola kind of like this, right? Let me redo it. Okay, let's continue. So basically, if I have a root at plus 1 over 3 and minus 2 over 5, then you can see that this is like y-intercept being at 0, 1. So we are just approximately sketching it, right? So one of the root is at negative, let's say, 2 over 5, right? The other one is at 1 over 3, right? This is not to the scale for sure. And here we have y-intercept. So that becomes a specific parabola, right? However, there could be many which will satisfy this condition. For example, even this parabola, right, could meet the criteria for the first one, correct? Or we could have something like this, right? You get the idea. So that is what I mean when I say family of curves. You get the idea. And specific is the one which goes through the defining point. Perfect. Now once we have understood this, let us try to write down the equation. So when we say quadratic equation and when the roots are given to us, we prefer to write the equation in the form y equals to x minus x1, where x1 is first root, times x minus x2, the second root. And since it is a family, we multiply by the term a. Now in our case, we are given x1 as 1 over 3 and x2 as minus 2 over 5. So you could use the fractions, correct? But you see, 1 over 3, I could write here as a times x minus 1 over 3, right? And I could also write x minus 2 over 5 will make it plus 2 over 5. Make sense? Now, that leads to a lot of difficulties. We are saying that this is actually equal to 0, right? When these roots are there, right? So if I multiply everything by 3 and 5, what I get is without fractions, correct? So what I prefer to write is, we prefer to write like this: y equals to a times root of 3, 1 over 3. I could write this as 3x minus 1, right? And the other one as 5x plus 2. Makes sense. Now you see, this equation also gives me the roots at 1 over 3 and minus 2 over 5. You see that part? So first thing which I'd like to emphasize on, that when you are given rational roots, it is better to write in this form rather than the fractions, right? It is easier to work with. You get the idea. So we got the first part, which is write quadratic function with these roots, right? So part A we have already done, and our answer is, we could write this as y equals to even 3x minus 1 times 5x plus 2, right? Or we could write something like 5 times 3x minus 1 times 5x minus 2. So that is what we are saying as a family, right? But now let's look into, that was part A. Now let's look into part B of this particular question. So in part B, what are we doing is, we are saying that it goes through point 0,1. So when the equation goes through point 0,1, in that case, we look into the original equation, substitute x equals to 0 and y equals to 1. Okay. So if I do that, then we get 1 equals to a times 0 minus 1, and that becomes 0 plus 2, right? So we have introduced the point, let's say y-intercept, let's call this point P as 0, 1, correct? So this point P, which we are saying the y-intercept, is 0, 1. Now once I do that, then I can actually get minus 1 times 2 is like minus 2a, and that gives me the value of a as minus half, right? So a equals to minus 1 over 2. So once I get that, then I get my final equation. You get the idea. So I get the equation as y equals to minus half 3x minus 1 times 5x plus 2. So that becomes the defining equation, which has the roots specified as 1 by 3 and minus 2 by 5, and also the point, which is y-intercept 0, 1. Is this concept clear to you? So that is what I wanted to emphasize. So two things which we should consider is, whenever the roots are given to us as rational numbers, you should write equation in this form rather than using the roots in the rational or fractions, right? To avoid calculation mistakes. Second, understand that once we have a point, we're talking about a specific curve, in this case a parabola opening downwards with y-intercept at 1. So once you do that, then you get your final answer, which is right there before you. Makes sense? Feel free to write your comment, share your views. If you have any doubts, you can also send an email on this particular address. Thanks for your time and all the best.